listening to the Bourbon Nerdz podcast, episode 9, Kiss from 4 Roses. Hey, Garrett.
What's up, dude?
How are you?
Hey, how was your trip?
It was really good. I had an awesome trip.
This dude gets to travel all over the world for his trip.
Yeah, so I just got back from St. Lucia and Barbados, two beautiful countries. Shout out to my Barbados and St. Lucia family. I had a wonderful time taking clients to both locations. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I drank a lot of rum.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is the rum gone?
Why is it? Because I drank it all.
Oh.
That's why.
I found a jar of dirt.
So, but how are you doing? Did you miss me while I was gone?
Yep. I was sat in a corner and was like, I want to do Bourbon Nerd stuff, but I can't because Cody's gone.
I know. It feels like we haven't recorded in forever. I was actually really looking forward to, even though I am working on 3 hours of sleep right now. I had a 7 a.m. flight. I am ready to talk to our million fans we have out there.
And drink a lot of bourbon. Bourbon helps, though. I think it kind of wakes me up and then it puts me to sleep. So you get that little bit between.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited to talk about 4 Roses. I think that's to me, is an underrated distillery. You don't really think about them when you talk about the big boys. I know you've become a bigger fan of them over the last, I would say, 2-3 months.
Honestly, a lot of it's just overwhelming because they have so many recipes and there's so many different things. So you don't really know what you're going to like. But honestly, there's keys out there you can look up and kind of see what each recipe tastes like or what the notes are. And so you can kind of go by what you like and then, kind of go from there. But honestly, this small batch select, which we'll talk about here in a minute, is just a really good kind of starter, as far as your 4 Roses journey goes. And, it's affordable, $55 for a really good bourbon. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah, definitely really good. I mean, if you compare it to the small batch, we did just a quick side-by-side.
It's in the trash now. It's gone.
Yeah, it's downstairs. No, the small batch is still, I think, if you're starting your bourbon journey, and we're hoping we're getting newcoming listeners that want to learn. And, I've been listening. I got a lot of feedback from people that have recently listened to podcasts that I work with and clients and different things. So, I know we need to make sure we do a better job explaining certain things because we talk about them in previous episodes. So just making sure that if you are a new listener, which we want new listeners, that, if you have questions or if we're not explaining something, don't hesitate to provide feedback. But we've got a really good episode today. I'm just going to do a quick overview of what we're going to talk about. From barrel to brain, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about the 4 Roses Distillery, talk about some of the recipes, and give you some history overall. Nerd Rage, we're going to talk about dry January and some bottles that we're looking forward to that are coming out or have been approved some labels. Whiskey Sideline, we got a juicy discussion over Pat Mahomes. Garrett's going to rant for 30 minutes over that. A heartbreaking playoff upset that I'm still in total shock of. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some UFC title fights. And then Pop Culture Pour, we're going to talk about Squid Games, Penguins, some shows. There's a new good band that we like coming out, and then a trailer that was dropped. Neat and Balanced, we are going to talk about some bourbon and rum pairings and so, kind of a little bit about my trip and experience. So, and also hopefully get you guys to chime in on that. And then last call, we're going to talk about our upcoming episodes, some of the things that Garrett and I are working on to kind of get you guys up to date and kind of so you know where we're headed. And we're really excited. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Yeah, we got a jam-packed episode. Cody goes for a week, and then we just load up with all these things we want to talk about.
Yeah, Garrett sent me a 17-page dissertation on this episode of what he wanted to talk about.
I hope you read it all. There will be a pop quiz at the end.
I don't think I'm passing that one.
3 hours of sleep. Man, I took some of my best tests off 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah, so I got like a power nap on like my first flight, like 45 minutes maybe, and then
I can't sleep on planes, man. I just haven't ever been able to. I can't get comfy enough. Even though you can kind of push your chair back a little bit, I just can never get there.
Yeah, I don't sleep well. Like I said, I got maybe like 30 minutes, 45-minute power nap, which helped. I mean, it made me feel a lot better because I drank a couple Starbucks. So
I started getting a little tired at the movies earlier, which I'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah, you went and watched the movie. I'm curious to.
I did, and it was National Popcorn Day, so I want to talk about that a little bit. So a couple things coming up.
Yeah, I'm sad I didn't get to eat popcorn yet. Maybe I'll go pop some after we have the episode. All right, so let's dive in from barrel to brain. You want to kick us off?
Yeah. So, we're going to talk a little about 4 Roses history, but I have a little fun story that I kind of want to go over that's just potentially how 4 Roses got its name. It's some people dispute this, but I thought it was a fun thing to talk about. So the name Four Roses sounds romantic, but there's also a lovely tale behind it. The story starts with the distillery's founder, Paul Jones Jr., and his love interest. He fell head over heels in love with a Southern belle who had caught his eye. In a rather enchanting tale, he sent a heartfelt proposal to her. Instead of giving him a simple yes, the woman said that if she agreed to the proposal, she'd wear a corsage of roses to an upcoming grand ball. Those with a creative imagination can most likely complete the rest of the story, but of course, she arrived at the ball, showing off a beautiful corsage of 4 red roses. It inspired the name of this famous bourbon and gave it a story that would be the envy of many of its rivals. That is the legend, though. The exact details of the story are debated. It's also a sad twist of fate that the proposal never resulted in a marriage. Paul Jones Jr. passed away suddenly from Bright's disease in 1896, just 7 years after naming his whiskey. So, this is the story of the naming of Four Roses, and it may have romantic beginnings, but ultimately became the tale of unrequited love. So, kind of an interesting story there of how Four Roses got its name to me. I don't know.
If it's the title, right? Kiss from a Rose by Seal.
Yeah, Kiss from a Rose on the Grave. Also, the theme song for Batman.
Yes, I know. That's what
such a good song. It has so many ties to so many good things.
Yeah, it is. It is a really good song. I don't think I've ever done that karaoke, and yeah, Seal, I could never ever sing close to anything like him, but I'd like to try that karaoke sometime.
No, I'm not even close to Seal, but I have done that song karaoke. It's pretty fun. Like, obviously, I sing it like my style, where I do it kind of more rocky, like "Kissed by a Rose," more like Jairus Joplin. I think that's his name, Jairus Joplin. But he does a cover of it that's really, really good. I'll let you listen to it later.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Cool. So I'm going to give you just a overview of some key dates and stuff within the Four Roses Distillery. They have a lot of history. Again, they go back to some of the in the 1800s. So 1888, we talked about Paul Jones Jr. trademarked the Four Roses brand in Atlanta. 1907, Lawrence and Sanders, Paul Jones Jr.'s nephews, built the Paul Jones Building in Louisville. 1910, the Old Prentice Distillery was built in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. 1922, the Paul Jones Company purchased the Frankfurt Distilling Company, which included the Old Prentice Distillery. In 1943, Seagram, you ever had a Seagram 7? A Canadian firm purchased Frankfurt Distilling Company. 1986, the Old Prentice Distillery was renamed the Four Roses Distillery. And then 2002, Kirin, a Japanese firm brewing, they brew beer. If you've ever had
that Kirin Japanese beer is pretty good.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah, Kiri Ishiban purchased the brand, and they still own it as of today. So that's just a little bit of some key dates and histories about that. They were one of the only, I think, 6 distilleries during the Prohibition to be able to be licensed to serve or to continue to, make whiskey and distribute it. So.
Is it weird that every time you say Paul Jones, I want to go, who? Paul Jones. Paul Jones.
That's not weird at all. Mike Jones.
It just has one of those catchy things that, used to be a thing, and all the young kids out there are going, what the crap is he talking about? You just had to be there. 90s kids for life, bro.
Stupid boomers.
No, I was actually only a 90s kid by 4 days because my birthday's January 4th, 1990, so I was almost an 80s kid by this much.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know that you don't know what that feels like because you're way into the 80s, but...
Yeah, 85, baby. Let's roll. 85 Bears. No, I'm just joking.
So let's talk about the bourbons that we have. Or did you have more about Four Roses?
No. So, one of the things, and we talked about this, and something that I don't really give a lot of thought into, but, Four Roses has a ton of recipes, and they have 10 to be exact, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, outside of their, for their single barrels. So I just wanted to quickly kind of go over and highlight a few of those and kind of what the recipes mean. I think it's so recipe is basically just the makeup. They basically blend 2 different mash bills for I think almost everything that they make. So their first mash bill is 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% malted barley. And their second mash bill is 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% malted barley. So they have the OBSV, which is supposed to be delicate, fruity, like a pear apricot, spicy and creamy. They have the OBSK, which is rich in spiciness, full-bodied. And full-bodied just means it's just a little bit bolder flavors. It's got kind of more of a well-rounded. OBSK is floral, rose petal, which if you have tried a lot of Four Roses, I always get like the signature smell and taste to me is a little floral. So if you don't like floral notes, Four Roses is probably not for you.
I don't think it's like super out. It's like you're just tasting roses or anything. Like you can pick up a little bit, but it is there. And I think it's fainter in some of their other stuff, but I think it is a little more, prevalent in some things. But I don't think it's like bad or anything.
No, I don't either. I mean, I actually really enjoy it.
It's kind of like when you have detergent that's like lavender scented or something, and you go, oh, I don't really like that scent, or
tastes like burning.
Tastes like burning.
That's Ralph from Simpsons.
Oh,
yeah, he's my favorite Simpsons character. OBSK. So what I was talking about is floral, rose petal, spicy, medium body. OBSO is slightly fruity, spicy, medium body. OBSF is mint, fruity, spicy, full body. OESV is delicate, fruity, fresh, and creamy, which I always love. Creamy,
fruity, fresh, and creamy.
It's like, man, we're making.
That was my nickname in high school.
Yeah, we're making smoothies over here. The OESK is spicy, full-bodied. OESQ is floral, banana, refreshing, medium body. OESO is fruity, kind of red berry, and medium body. And OESF is mint, fruity, and full-bodied. So, yeah, you can learn more. Go to fourrosesbourbon.com. They are not sponsors, and kind of check out they go a little bit more depth on their 10 recipes. But again, if you use that kind of guide, don't get overwhelmed. I highly recommend, if you haven't tried any Four Roses, I would recommend the Small Batch Select. I think for $50-ish. I mean, it's hard to beat that one. I'm a big fan of the single barrel, and we've got two. So let's talk about the two Titans we're drinking side by side.
Yeah, so I have a North Texas pick that's aged 11 years. It is the OBSF recipe. It is 56.5% alcohol, which comes out to 113 proof. It is a single barrel, and it is very tasty. Have these side by side, and it's honestly tonight. I didn't really get this note before, but it's honestly very like creamy caramel coming through, and I haven't picked that up before, but tonight with all this Four Roses stuff, I'm really getting that note.
Yeah, and what I love too, before I talk about mine, is like all these are very not distinctively different. Let me retract that, but they all have their uniqueness.
You can tell they're different.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, okay, this is just another Four Roses. Like I am enjoying the difference, the variety in these different batches, and a lot of bourbons that use similar mash bills don't have that, or there's just so much similarities. It's kind of like, oh, it just tastes the same, a little bit punched up. But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the unique things about Four Roses. So I've got a Four Roses single barrel strength. It's the OBSO, which is the higher rye percentage. It's kind of be rich and fruity. It's 9 years and 7 months. It's the single barrel strength. It's 57.6% alcohol with 115.2 proof. And it's very good. So
yeah, these are both really good. It's honestly, it's kind of tough to pick one because they are different in their own ways. And so it's like what your preference is for a night, but honestly, I know there's like a 1.5 year age difference, but they're both drinking very well. I also have I'll just give a couple stats about this Four Roses Small Batch Select for those of you that are interested. So it is 104 proof, which is 52% alcohol. It is a blend of both their mash bills, which Cody went over earlier. It's $55. It's a shelfer. You can find this anywhere. So if you're wanting to get into Four Roses, like he said earlier, this is a really good one to start with.
Yeah, and so Garrett has also a Four Roses limited release. The 2024. I actually traded him that bottle. It's very good.
Yeah, so I'll give a little stats on that one real quick because we'll drink this here in a little bit. But it is 108.2 proof, which is 54.1% alcohol. It is a blend of 12, 15, 16, and 20-year-old bourbons. It's got 31% OBSV recipe, 12 years, which is 60% corn, 35% rye, 5% malted barley. 23% OESK recipe, 15-year, which is the 75-25. 39% OESF, 16-year. So it has 39% 16-year in it, which is the 75 corn recipe. And then 7% OBSV recipe, 20 years, which is 60% corn. And I've I don't remember which one of these was the first time since like 2020. I think it might be the SV, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that Texas pig kind of reminds me of that Baker 7 8-year you have for some reason. I don't know.
I mean, they both have good spice notes on them.
I think it's the spice. It doesn't have that Jim Beam nuttiness, but it's like the Four Roses floral, but it just kind of reminds me that the back end of the palate and the finish a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, that Baker 7 8-year is really good.
These are both really good, but they're very different.
Yes. I mean, they're different for sure. I don't, you can definitely tell they're both Four Roses.
Yeah, agreed. One's a little darker, got a little more caramel, and the other one's a little more fruity. So those are kind of the main difference.
Yeah, I think yours is more fruity and mine's more like the full body caramel-y, which I need to look up. What do you have the batches pulled up on you?
If I don't get up my fruit, I won't get all my vitamins.
What did I say this one was? OBSF. So OBSF is the mint, fruity, spicy, full body one. And I don't get a whole lot of fruit on it. I get more caramel and stuff, but I'm getting more fruit from yours, which yours says slightly fruity, but I would get more fruit. I don't know. No. And I guess, everyone's palate's different, so you could probably pick up different notes. So
yeah, it says slightly fruity, spicy, medium body. That's interesting because I'm getting lots of fruit on the
lots
nose
of light. Yeah, you said apricot and stuff earlier, and I'm definitely, I can get with a light fruit, spicy floral nose.
Yeah, I think all that rum too. I've been getting a lot of apricot, plum type stuff. But
I need to get into some rum. I started to get into some tequila. There's been a few I've tried. They're pretty good. And I actually saw that there's some cast strength ones, so I'm going to try a couple of those and see if I like them more.
So yeah, before you leave, I can pop this Dorley. I brought back a Dorley's 12-year from Barbados, so you can try.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Cool. What else? What else you want to talk about from Barrel to Brain?
I don't have anything else for Barrel to Brain. I don't think so. We got a lot of other things to talk about.
Yeah, we really do. So I hope you enjoyed that. All right, we're gonna move over to Nerd Rage. All right, today on Nerd Rage, let's start out. We're going to talk about dry January.
Yeah, I was just going to so we're at the end of January here, and we haven't really talked about this. And obviously, since my birthday's in January, it's really hard for me to partake in dry January. Obviously, I don't drink bourbon every day. I have a lot more here recently, but I do have, days and, so where
What is dry January?
So it is a challenge. So the Dry January Challenge is a campaign developed and delivered by UK charity Alcohol Change UK, where people sign up to abstain from alcohol for the month of January. The term Dry January is a registered trademark with Alcohol Change UK and was first registered in 2014. It was first delivered in 2013 by Alcohol Concern, now called Alcohol Change UK. Emily Robinson started in an international Dry January campaign where she joined Alcohol Concern in 2012. After giving up alcohol in January 2011 to prepare for a half marathon, she noticed the benefits and that people were interested in her experience. While others may have had a month off alcohol in January, Robinson was the first person to turn it into a campaign and trademarked Dry January for Alcohol Concern. Around the same time, Nicole Brodeur of the Seattle Times wrote a column on her first Dry January, motivated by a friend who had done the same for several years before. The first reported Dry January was in 2008 by Frank Pasalico. Sorry if I brutalized that name. In Huntington, New York, many noted his dramatic weight loss and increased energy level. So it's just kind of like a cool thing that they do just to kind of put a cause towards, being, being healthier and, weight loss.
Yeah. And I do recommend taking breaks from drinking. Like, this past week, obviously I did not do that. And I had a wet January versus a dry, but we should think about next year, just trying to do, I know it's around your birthday, which is kind of hard, and
it's tough when you have a podcast about bourbon.
Yeah, it is. But we could go a month without drinking. I think maybe we'll see. We can talk about it later on.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Maybe next year.
We've got a whole year.
A whole year of bourbon. But I do take breaks still, and you can take a couple week break in February or something. Like it doesn't have to be in January, but it's just kind of just making sure you're taking care of yourself. You're not overdoing your liver. Being a healthier you. And I know that January is also the beginning of the year where everyone has their New Year's resolutions and stuff. So, just a cool thing. Just wanted to highlight that a little bit because I know a lot of our Someone Say Whiskey family puts a lot of effort into that.
Yeah. And I have an exciting news update for, I've been begging for somebody to trade me a Russell's 15. So the liquor store Apollo in Denison, ran by Manny, who's good friend. Talked to him quite a bit. He's a nice guy. Great. Does raffles where you go buy liquor for every $40 you spend, you get a ticket to win one of the allocated bottles they have. They also have a point system. So I will be cashing in my points for Russell's 15, which I'm really excited. I know we were talking about potential trade, but definitely want more Russell's 15 for us and our little Bourbon Nerdz group so we can, partake on that. I know we drank quite a bit of your last bottle.
Yeah, I'll feel better about opening mine now, and I can pour a little into my infinity bottle.
Yeah, for sure. So
I want to ask your opinion because this is something I want to talk about. Also, I have a million things. Sorry,
that's okay.
How do you feel about the different stores and how they do things? So obviously you have your museums, and that we don't really go to those, but we're big fans of Apollo and Bethany, and they do a point system, which is cool. Mm-hmm. But then you also have places like Little Elm and Black Tie that do tier systems, and you buy $50, you can get a H. Taylor Eagle Rare. You spend $100 and you get a Stag. Things like that. Is there a preference that you might have? I feel like it's personally it's easier to do the tier system, but if you have a store that you go to and you're going to spend a lot of money there over a year.
Yeah, I really do like the tier system at Little Elm, right? Yeah.
Little Elm and Black Tie. Black Tie has that one on February 8th.
Yeah,
that I was telling you about.
Yeah, for sure. So we need to try
just to get it, to get out there and see some other places. But
yep, I agree. I think we should definitely check that out. I think the tier system so they have different levels. It can be $100. Sometimes it's $40. It ranges all the way up to like $500 where you can get like a George C. Stag or something.
It was $800 for the George C. Stag.
Yeah. That's why nobody got it.
Yeah, that's why it's always on there. Yeah. Another thing I will add though is Apollo has tried to do more interesting bundles where you can kind of pick what you want to bundle with. I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. He's kind of put some variety in there. That's how I got my Peerless Toasted. So I got a Peerless Toasted and, another cool bottle with E.H. Taylor single barrel. So it's like 3 bottles that I really wanted. You know what I mean? So I think that's really cool. I know Manny wants to do cooler stuff, and it is kind of tough, with a point system sometimes, but
yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's any opportunity, and that's the biggest, because I was talking to Manny a little bit. He's like, man, I've been listening a little bit. You guys are getting some traction. I was like, how can I help? I was like, honestly, help us get bottles. That's really the thing that we're going to struggle with, right? Time. And, we live in the, right on the Oklahoma border. Not going to tell you where we live, but you can figure it out. I guess.
We do say Texoma.
Yeah, so Texoma area, but
just in that general area, which I know is like 100 different places.
Yeah, but that's going to be I think the challenging piece. We both try to do the best we can. We've built relationships. Some of the honey holes that I've built relationships are starting to dry up a little bit and making it more difficult, more expensive to get bottles. But, it comes with the territory if you're wanting to collect, and don't feel that you have to go out and buy every single bottle that comes out. That's probably one thing I would recommend to a new bourbon collector or bourbon connoisseur. We talked about, I think, several episodes ago, go to a bottle share, trade samples. Like, samples is a great way. Like Garrett and I, for the longest time, we were just trading back samples. I bought a new bottle. I'd give him a sample. He would give me a sample back or something that I had open.
Yeah, now we're to the point where we just see each other so much that I'm just like, oh, I'll just bring it over here.
Yeah, so he's even been leaving bottles at my house.
I do want to add for the new person, though, like when you do get to a point where you want to build relationships, like if you find a spot, the person's really cool and that they'll, hook you up. Every time you go in, just buy something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just buy, a $20 benchmark foolproof or something, and just build those relationships. Because when they do get something, and I was talking to Jamie about this the other night. He's like, I'll go into, discount liquor, Big Daddy's, and I'll buy something. And I know Big Daddy's a little different than discount. Big Daddy's has a whole garage full of stuff on their own. But I won't get into that.
Yeah,
retirement plan.
Maybe one day we'll be able to break that barrier. But I've gotten some really good. So Ryan is one of the managers. I've gotten some really good bottles. He's hooked me up. So
discount's really cool. She's been, every time I go in there, she's like, oh yeah, we have this in the back and this. And she's a super sweet old lady. So.
Yeah, she is. I've talked to her a few times. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I suck with names. Sorry.
We all have their liquor stores, little honey holes. I mean, I saw a ton of people and Someone Say Whiskey and some of the bourbon groups that were in posting, oh, I got George T. Stag at retail, or you found a Thomas Handy. But I mean, just so,
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't get anything, right? Building those relationships still are valuable. I mean,
think
you meet some
discount
good people.
liquor. I think discount liquor getting the Handy was just insane to me Because I mean, I feel like they probably do some good sales, but that's not a big store.
I'm just
not a big store.
That's
and
karma.
Good
karma.
Yeah, it could be good karma. I don't know.
Yeah.
I try to be a good person.
Sometimes. All right. Well, also we've got some really cool things coming out. So I saw, and we haven't had a really big chance to research or fact check this, but I saw a label was approved for Weller 18 year.
That's going to be an oak bomb,
Oaky.
buddy. You thought that Weller 12
Oaky
was an oak
from
bomb?
Muskogee.
Yeah, that Weller 18 is going to be, and it's 90 proof. It's not anything I'm super excited about, but it's something that Cody's going to be like, crap, now I have to get another Weller for my collection.
Tater.
Who knows? I don't know how widely available it'll be or anything. It might just be one of those special releases like the Daniel Weller and stuff. So we don't have a lot of information on that one, but one that we do have a little bit of information on is that Jack Daniel's 14.
Yeah.
Barrel strength, single barrel.
Please help me get one of those. As soon as we get one, we will pop it and we'll do a video and we will do it. Because we want to do we had Ty Sims on for the Jack Daniels, but that was kind of like we grazed the surface of Jack Daniels.
I told him to be on the lookout because I know he's a Jack guy, so he's probably looking out for it anyway. But it has been showing up in stores, just I don't think in Texas yet.
Yeah, we really need to score. We both need to get one of those.
60, like someone that was 120 proof. Like these are going to be. Yeah, this could be a bourbon of the year candidate. If you ask me.
Jack 12. We had the Jack 12 at Randall's, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was fruity and delicious. And
nothing at all like I would have ever, because I hate, number 7, and I would have never guessed that was a Jack Daniel's bourbon. But I haven't had a lot of Jack Daniel's. I've had that special release rye.
Yeah,
which is really good, but I haven't had a whole lot of the 10 or the 12.
Yeah, and if you listen to our podcast, we kind of jumped the gun on our best. We kind of just gave you kind of like some of the best that we've had,
and then right after that, we went over to Randall. So
and then
I think some of that can probably be on our list for 2025 because it was kind of at the end of the 2024. So
and
we'd already done because I was actually debating this in my head because I was adding stuff, and I'm like, technically we'd already given our best of 2024 and. To me, we can put some of those on the 2025
my list would be, the allocated list would be kind of the same, but my other list would be completely different. Not completely, but a little bit different because I had some things that really just wanted to talk about things I really like.
And we'll talk about that more when December comes around.
Yeah, and we're going to be saving samples of stuff that we get. I want to be kind of get more in a box of like it has to be in 2025. We have to own the bottle, stuff like that. But, we'll cross that bridge.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of, and we'll get there eventually. I think the first couple of years of this, we can maybe cheat a little bit.
So this is a bottle that I'm really excited about. So apparently Old Fitzgerald is going to be releasing a bottle and bond 7-year that is supposed to be widely available in stores.
Like the $50 shelfer, and the bottle looks really cool. It looks like their Old Fitzgerald bottle, except kind of expanded. It's just like a longer, thinner bottle, but it still looks really good.
Yeah. So I hope it lives up. And if we talk about, just randomly before we keep moving on, the VSS that came out last year, the Old Fitzgerald, that's probably in my top 3 bottles I would love to get a hold of.
Yeah. I think
if you have one and you want to get rid of it or know somebody, please let me know. Get me in contact with me, and I would love to try to facilitate a cash trade or bottle trade or something or both or whatever else.
The problem I have with this though is I have the Old Fitz 8 and I think it's okay. And so obviously if you're paying $50 for a 7-year version, it's probably better. But when you're paying, what I paid for the 8, it's like, I'm basically paying for the decanter. It's fine, but it's nothing crazy. It doesn't blow me away. I've had way better weeders in my day so far.
You ready to crown a winner on these two?
Honestly, I don't know which one I like better.
I like mine better. I like the fruity one. Yeah, they're both really good. I just like fruitier notes, I guess.
I think the Four Roses 2024 is going to be the winner.
Well,
between these, honestly, I don't
they're
know
both
which
really
one.
good. It's kind of like the Stag versus the Stag one side by side we did.
I mean, I think I'm not trying to say mine is better. I genuinely think that mine tastes better.
Homer.
And maybe it's that extra year and a half. I'm not really sure, but the the smoothness and the whole from beginning to finish is better.
The finish is better.
There's some kind of harshness on yours that I'm not.
See, I'm getting a like a fruity bomb at the end of the mid to the finish palate. I get like a fruity explosion. I'm really
getting some kind of ethanol in there that's a little harsh for me.
I'm not getting that. Hold on, let me take another sip.
Pause for dramatic effect.
I'm not getting that.
You're not getting you're not getting a harshness.
It's got a little sharp note, but it's not like
hits the back of my throat.
It's like a gusher on the back of my tongue, and then I get like a little sharp note, little oak. But I don't know. I like fruitier stuff sometimes. So
yeah, I don't know.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I think this one's a little smoother. I don't know. It just doesn't drink as hot.
Hey, that's why we're doing a podcast, because we have different opinion, different palates, and we agree a lot, but we disagree quite a bit too.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
You like dark, and I'm the light. You're like the dark side. I'm the light side.
Darkness comes just before the dawn.
I don't wear hockey pads. Yeah, I was listening to our last episode with Ethan.
I'm wearing hockey pads.
If you haven't gone back and watched that or listened to that episode, go back. It is a little goofy. We did have a little sound issue.
We're like just dying laughing the whole episode.
We had a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. We're going to have Ethan back on.
The whole hot dogs will kill you thing just cracks me up.
Don't eat hot dogs. They'll
murder you in your sleep.
All right. Well, that'll conclude Nerd Rage. Let's skip on over to Whiskey Sideline.
Oh, yes. Let's do that.
I'm going to let you lead us off here because he's got a heavy burden on his heart he needs to let out.
So I'm a Texans fan, and we just played the Kansas City Chiefs. And, the game's pretty good, but I can't help but notice, and I had a lot more respect for Patrick Mahomes until I was watching this game. He is blatantly trying to draw penalties, and it reminds me so much of LeBron James trying to flop that. And I hate LeBron James.
LeBron James.
So now I'm starting to build this hatred for Patrick Mahomes. And I don't want to, because you want to like Patrick Mahomes. But, bro, just go out there and play football. Like, stop trying to draw penalties. I get, it's part of the game. I'm going to draw penalties so I can help my team win. But just go out there and play football. Go out there and stop trying to dance around and draw stupid penalties. And then the refs called two really dumb penalties. They called one right after he threw the ball, and Will Anderson kind of hit him in the chest. Nothing really, not really anything of contact. Yeah. Oh, no, it's third roughness. It's third down, so we'll give you a first down. And then the next one is him dancing around. He's doing like circles and stuff. He's like waiting for them to come at him, and then he just drops. And the two Texans players hit each other, and then they call it sportsmanlike conduct, even though he dropped and the two Texans players hit each other. I'm like, what do you want them to do? Do you just want him to keep just dancing around? Like, run the freaking ball. Stop dancing in circles like a freaking jerk off. It's so dumb.
If you have hate in your heart, let it out.
And then there was another one where he got pushed out of bounds, and then when he got to the out of bounds, he rolled, and I'm like, dude, get the hell out of here.
If they called that, I think that
I really thought they were. I was like, dude, they're about to call this.
My heart stopped for a second. I'm like, dude, if they call that,
maybe they were like, all right, I think we're pushing a little over the line. We better
not call that one, but we want you almost saw. I thought the ref went to grab his flag on the sideline.
Like,
that one,
we don't want to get murdered.
It's
here.
like somebody who's like, don't call it. That'll be too obvious.
And Texans played good. We didn't play our best. Our O-line is still a problem. That going for the 4th and 10, and that whole series where he was getting rushed or sacked that whole time, and then they go for it on 4th and 10, and he gets sacked again. Our defense played really good. There was that touchdown he threw to Kelsey where he was basically being sacked, and that was a good play on his part. And he made big plays, but I just think some of those things just put us in bad situations. We outgained them by 100 yards. We had no turnovers, and every team that's had those stats has been 49-0. And so yesterday was the first time the other teams won with those kinds of stats. So I think it's really egregious, and they need to look into that more. They really need, I get they want to protect the quarterback, but there has to be some kind of rules in place where they're not just giving them every single freaking. There was one last night where Jared Goff threw the interception, and some guy just freaking nailed him.
Yeah.
If that was Patrick Mahomes, they would have called that
100%.
And it's just, it's getting ridiculous. And I'm not a Swiftie or anything, but
did you see the Sam Darnold, the guy
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like all these other quarterbacks are just taking beatings.
It's like a WWE freaking.
But if you're Patrick Mahomes, my God, you better not hit Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. It's a Patrick Mahomes, and that's what I was telling somebody. You need a flopping call in the NFL because homeboy is freaking flopping, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I mean some of those plays were ridiculous. It's been all year.
Stroud's just getting hammered to death too.
Yeah. It needs to be consistent. You either call it for everyone or you don't call it. But there is clearly some issue with the Chiefs getting, and I understand it's a great story to three-peat, but honestly, depending on when we get to the Super Bowl and the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl, the NFL is going to be sure of that. I know I was like, oh, it's going to be Detroit and NFL, which we'll talk about in a second. But, the calls are a little ridiculous. He's leaning into it. I don't blame him. I mean, it's kind of like when James Harden was doing his little foul. He was going to the line more than anybody, an NBA player.
You're taking advantage of the situations.
Oh, quite a bit. So I definitely do think the NFL needs to take a look at the rules a little bit.
It just makes them look scummy to me. And, I don't mind losing. It's not about us losing that game.
Are you sure about that?
There was definitely we gave up a 65-yard kickoff return. We missed an extra point. Like there were some special teams things we could have worked on. Like I said, our line wasn't great, but I don't mind losing. I just don't like, BS calls that in really key situations, like 3rd and long situations.
Ooh, I just took another drink of your single barrel Texas Pit. That was really good.
Yeah, it's good. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I like this one from front to back. That one is very good. They're both great.
I'm going to have to go back to them again. That was really good. I don't know. I got the full caramel finish, and the finish on it's really nice. And if you've noticed, is that yours? Oh yeah, right here. Just a little bit. If you notice, I weigh heavily the finish quite a bit because I really want that hug, just something to latch on when you're drinking a bourbon and it goes front palate to mid palate and then it just falls off a cliff. Like to me, that's just very off-putting. Like I want something to lean on there, and that nice Kentucky hug. When you hear someone say, "Oh, it's that nice Kentucky hug," it's that kind of warm alcohol feel that goes in the middle of your chest. So, for you newbies out there and newcomers to the pod, so I just wanted to outline that a little bit more.
God, they're both so good. This is tough. Like honestly, I could just say they're both 50-50, honestly, but
it's super close.
If I had to pick one, I would pick this one.
This is probably, and I know the Stags were close, but this is probably the closest two that we've put side by side together that I can recall.
Oh, for sure.
So
yes, definitely. The Stag is very similar where they have similar things, but each batch is different. I don't know. And I thought that was interesting. I feel like the A batches and the B batches and the C batches all are kind of similar. So I feel like they probably get those from the same parts of the warehouse or something.
Yeah.
It's like the A batches are always very fruity. Mm-hmm. The B batches are always very earthy. Mm-hmm. And the C batches are always very cinnamony, spicy. So yeah. I feel like they probably get those from the same kind of area. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we need to get a 24C.
Yeah, so we can do the battle triple. Of the 24s.
Yeah, that would be pretty good, and hopefully we'll keep rolling into getting those. And
maybe they have the 24C at the Black Tie event on February 8th.
That would be sweet. We need to pick one up. So I do want to say that your Texans, have played really well. They played well. They stepped up in the playoffs. They didn't have two of their best wide receivers.
R.I.P. Tank Dell. I don't know if he's going to have a career, man. He just totally brutalized his legs, both of them. It's tough.
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes back great because him and Stroud are really good friends, and I know they have a lot of good chemistry. And Diggs is getting older, so I don't know how much more he's got. So
yeah,
it'll be an interesting offseason. We made a lot of good moves last year, so I'll be interested to see what we do this year.
Yeah, you guys have really turned it around. I love your coach.
And our defense looks great.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Danielle Hunter with Will Anderson, and then you got Stingley, and I can't think of the other cornerback's name on, but they're a great 1-2 duo. They led the league in interceptions.
Yeah, Will Anderson looks like he could be an all-time great.
Yeah,
he
looks good
because I think he has room to continue to grow. This is his second year in the league.
Yes,
yeah, it's
him and Stroud came in the same draft.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it was you guys had a great draft.
Yes,
and I'm also excited about our Broncos. I mean, I know we got destroyed by Buffalo, but you go back and watch that game. There were some questionable calls that could have made it a lot closer. We botched 3 blatantly hit your hand drops that we could have got first downs and scores and some things.
You guys also have a lot of issues as far as injuries, especially on defense. You guys had a lot of defensive injuries.
Yeah, we lost our number one, our linebacker, Singleton, Alex Singleton,
and you have a lot of youth in offense. Like Sutton is fine, but you just need that. You need some better. You need your receivers to develop, and you need a better number one.
Keep an eye on Marvin Mims.
I like Marvin Mims. Yeah. I also like Vale. Is that his name? Yeah, Vale's pretty good.
Or Vale. Yeah, Vale.
Vale. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, he's pretty good. But yeah, if you keep developing, if they can get some consistency at running back, because Javonte Williams looked good, but then they're just trying to run like a 3. They're like, oh, we're gonna ride the hot hand. I hate that approach.
Yeah.
I know I'm a fantasy guy and I hate it from a fantasy perspective, but also a guy can't get any kind of momentum if you're doing the hot hand approach.
No, for sure. Okay, awesome. Well, so I got to talk about the Lions game because if you listen to the podcast, I've been preaching Chiefs Lions Super Bowl, and if you haven't watched football, the Lions got beat by the Washington Commanders.
Dude, Jaden Daniels looked like a G.
He has looked flawless.
He's like what Dak should have looked like 5 years ago.
I don't know.
Sorry, Cowboys fans. I know you guys are upset about an Eagles Commanders NFC championship.
And I believe I didn't miss any turnovers. I didn't check the the box score. I checked it yesterday, but I haven't checked it.
Jared Goff threw 2 picks and Jamison Williams threw one on that trick play.
Jared Goff had a fumble. So they had 4 turnovers total. So yeah, that Jamison Williams throw, it's just like, dude, throw it away.
He forced that. Dan Campbell was taking some risks, and I just don't think that was the right time for that kind of play.
No, I don't think so either. I love the end around that they did with Jamison Williams.
Oh yeah, well, Jamison Williams is an athlete. You want to get him kind of in that. It's kind of like Xavier Worthy for the Chiefs. They're super quick. You want to get them the ball with some space.
Okay, I get what you're talking about. Like that finish kind of sharp. There's like a sharp oak. Mm-hmm. Like a Sharpie note.
Yeah.
I just got it there. I wasn't getting it before, but he re-poured that pour. So I may have to retract my statement here, but I'm going to go back to yours here.
But like I said, they're both really good. It's really like you could just love either one. You could sit here and drink either one and be happy. It's not like one is that much worse than the other one.
So yeah, I don't know anyone picked the Commanders to win.
Honestly, probably nobody picked the Commanders to even make the playoffs. So
yeah,
that's a really interesting feat. I thought it'd be interesting if it was the Commanders Rams in the NFC Championship, but the Eagles ended up winning. Dude, Saquon, there was 3 really, like Jalen Hurts ran like a 44-yarder, then Saquon ran like a 60-yarder, and then a 70-yarder. They're just like the run game was just like going off. So
I'm sure if you're a Giants fan listening and you're at home, you're just like shaking your head every time Saquon touches the ball,
dude. Yeah, like, Tyrone Tracy's cool, but it's not Saquon cool, guys.
No, not at all. And like I don't know who I was talking to about the Giants. I think it may have been one of my clients that likes football, but we were talking about the GM wanted to keep. He was like, if we lose Saquon, he can go anywhere but the Eagles, and then he runs right directly to the Eagles.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last podcast, me, you, and Ethan, and then that led into the whole Danny.
Oh, is that probably where we were talking about? I can't remember where we were talking about that, so I'm sorry again. I'm on 3 hours of sleep, people. I just got back from Barbados, but I wanted to talk to all of you, and I wanted to see Garrett, and I wanted to drink some bourbon, so here we are.
Get it on.
Let's get it on.
All right. Do you have anything else for a whiskey sideline?
I do, actually. I wanted to talk about the UFC fights. So we had 2. If you didn't watch, if you're not a UFC fan, I understand. But these 2 title fights were, the one title fight was amazing. The other one was just kind of interesting. So you had Merab, and I'm going to butcher his Devilishvili. I think I have no
Say that again.
I have no idea what I'm saying that. And then Umar, so I'm not going to butcher his last. So Umar was undefeated going into this. Merab is the bantamweight champion. That dude is a demon killer, like Pitbull in a human body. If you haven't watched him fight, he just stamina is like why he won. But that's one of the best fights I've ever seen. If you go back and watch that fight, I highly recommend it.
What division is that?
The bantamweight.
Bantamweight. You said that. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So that's
okay.
That's
yeah.
Is that below welterweight?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think
I've only seen like John Jones and stuff because he recently came back after all his drug whatever. I don't remember what was up with him, but he just still comes back and dominates everybody.
Yeah, so it was a unanimous decision, but I mean that fight was really close, and Umar won like the first 2 rounds, so it went full 5 rounds, and they were slugfest. And
it's funny you brought that up because I watched Real Steel the other night. Have you ever watched that movie?
I haven't seen.
You haven't watched that? It's got Hugh Jackman and it's boxing robots. And he's just like, and he's boxing with robots and stuff.
Yeah,
that's really good.
I think I've seen some of it. I haven't seen the whole movie.
You should watch that movie. I think you really like it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. So, and then the other was the lightweight championship, Islam. So against Renato Moricano, I think is his name. He's from Brazil. So Islam might be one of the greatest pound for pound fighters. He can wrestle. He's technical. He can slug with the best. So the funny thing about Renato is he wasn't even supposed to fight. The guy that Islam
wasn't even supposed to be here today.
Yeah, he was exactly. How'd you get fired on your day off, Craig? But so he got tapped in. I think like 48 hours before the fight. The previous fighter had a back issue and got pulled out at the last second. So
they used to have that argument about Machida and George St. Pierre about who was the best pound per pound. That's back. That shows you like how long ago I watched UFC, but those guys were legit.
Yeah, so this Islam guy is insane. So basically, I will give it to Renato. I had a good slug, like knocked Islam back, and you're like, oh, wait a second, are we about to get us a fight? And then I guess Islam's like, nope, not gonna happen. Got him, grappled him down on the ground. Got a takedown, and it happened in like 2 seconds. Got him in this little chokehold. Some crazy, I don't know what kind of chokehold this was. It wasn't like a normal headlock. And then he tapped him out. It was nuts. The guy was just like instantly tapped out. There was nothing he could do.
That's the thing about those crafty dudes. You can't give up anything like that. If you give up any kind of space, they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So there were several other good fights in it as well. So if you didn't get to watch the UFC, go back. I highly recommend it. It was really good, really interesting. I don't always watch a lot of UFC, sorry. But I do like some of the title fights and stuff, and those were both great. And again, the Merab Devilishvili and Umar fight. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. One of the greatest fights ever. Even Joe Rogan was like, I'm so happy I was here to watch this. This is one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. So really enjoyed it. So yeah, that'll conclude Whiskey Sideline. Let's move over to Pop Culture Pour.
Pop Culture Pour. Did you
watch Squid Games?
I did watch Squid Games. Did you watch season 2?
Yeah, I've seen it. I binge watched both of them during the holidays.
So this is a spoiler warning, guys. So if you guys haven't watched season 2 and you don't want to be spoiled, just skip this part. But how did he not know that 001 was in on it? Like, so the guy that was 001 in season 1 ended up being like the big, whatever. Obviously, and he keeps looking over at him like, but then he just never figures it out. And I'm like, well, maybe they'll answer that in season 3 that he did know all along. But I was just like, bro, this guy's obviously in on this whole thing.
Yeah.
You're so silly. But of course, season 3 was shot, it was shot correspondingly with season 2. So it'll come out, I think, June or July this year. So it won't take us too long to figure out those answers. But.
So here's my perspective of that. And I don't disagree with you because it's like, dude, he's showing. It's like the murderer is like, oh, I can't find the murderer, and then the guy next to you sitting with like a bloody knife, and it's just like, we can figure out who did this. But
he seemed like a really cool guy.
I think season 2, like if you take a step back and really think about it, which Squid Games is way more brutal than I ever even thought it was going to be. But it's really good.
They killed like 300 something people in the first season.
Shh, don't run it for the audience. But
season 1.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched season 1.
Yeah, that's
if you haven't watched season 1, then you probably aren't interested in this conversation anyway.
No, I'm just joking. But you've got to think about how season 2 portrays. It's like the other side of the coin. It's like survival of the fittest. Like, do you become the animal or do you kill? Like almost the whole like. Do you stay a superhero long enough to become the villain?
Yeah.
And he was so blinded by taking down this whole like Squid Games, like rich people, corporation, whatever thing. And that he couldn't see what was right in front of him.
He still should have been able to figure out, the whole 001 thing. Cause and that was a little on the nose.
Yeah.
Like if that guy, the 001 was really, really smart, he would have picked a just random number.
But it's almost like too obvious. Like, why would you take the same number and be the same thing? So again, it is obvious hindsight, but it's like, think about if you're blinded with bloodlust and you're just like, you're taking down the man. So,
I also love that they changed up the games on him. They're like, game 1 was the same.
Yeah, that was
but here
so
we go,
smart.
game 2 and 3, and still made it through. And the Thanos guy was kind of interesting with his whole painted fingernails. He's like, I'm Thanos.
I hated
I'm a
that
rapper.
guy. Yeah, he plays a good antagonist.
No, what actually I loved is like episode 2 or 3, you kind of figure out the crypto guy who kind of screwed over a lot of his people. I'm like, that's the Hawk Tuah girl. They're like really kind of going after, because she had the whole meme coin thing, and that was the whole kind of same storyline. So I thought that was kind of funny that because obviously they're filming this whole thing in their native tongue and then they add the English thing later. So I'm wondering if they had that in mind before the Hawk Tuah thing happened. Like, do you know a little bit about that? Like, she started this meme coin to sell, and they basically pulled the rug from under everybody, and everybody lost a lot of money, which if you're investing in a meme coin for a TikToker, you're just dumb. Just don't do that.
The only meme coin that I wouldn't even recommend any meme coin, but if you're going to do one, do Elon Musk, because apparently he's taking over the world. So,
yeah, I mean, Elon Musk is a smart businessman, whereas Hawk Tuah girl got famous for talking about, doing some sexual things on a random other person's TikTok.
Yeah. War. What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
So, yeah, Squid Games is really good. If you haven't watched it, highly recommend it. So
it's really good. And obviously there's a cutoff and people are kind of like, oh, that was into season 2. It's kind of like season 2 and 3 are like a part 1, part 2. So I think I had the same thing with the last season of The Boys. Obviously the last season of The Boys is leading into the final season. So it's like those seasons are going to be a little bit of a disappointment because it's not going to quite answer everything. Have you watched The Boys?
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we would, and that's the first time I've said absolutely this episode. Now, second time. But we should have talked about with Ethan. Like, The Boys is so good. Some of it, though, is so cringy. Like some of the really gross parts, but I mean, in general,
that's how the comics are. They wanted to still stay true to the comics.
And that's true. And again, it's a great show. It really, like, you can imagine if superheroes were real, that's probably what they would be like.
They'd be marketed and and told.
And just be so. Boys is just such a good show. If you like superhero stuff and you haven't watched it, yes, it can be a little cringy. Do not watch it with any children. Anyone under the age of 18 around you, because it has some very
Butcher turning into like Venom or whatever at the end was sick. I'm like, I can't wait till next season. It's gonna be dope.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler that came out a long time ago. You guys have had plenty of time to watch The Boys.
I just finished it.
Did you?
Yeah, like a couple weeks
behind,
ago.
Bro.
I am behind. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I watched The Penguin season 1 while I was flying to and from the Caribbean. Penguins is excellent show. Well done. Colin Farrell, holy smokes.
I love Colin Farrell. Some of my favorite movies have Colin Farrell in it.
Yeah, I mean, he does such a good job. The story, it's so much different than what I thought it was going to be. It's basically like kind of an origin series, but it is superb. The acting in it's great.
I thought it was interesting because Batman doesn't make an appearance, correct?
So they talk about him in the very beginning, I think, because it's right after
the Batman.
Right after the Batman, when they fled the city. So it takes place right after that.
I still think it's kind of interesting that they have this whole show and don't include Batman, but I know James Gunn has a really good vision for the DECU, and he's kind of been back and forth on whether he's going to include Robert Pattinson's Batman in the DECU or if he's going to cast. I've also heard there's rumblings that Jensen Ackles might be Batman. But we'll kind of see what they end up doing there. But I know that they are eventually going to do the Batman too. I think it got delayed a little bit.
Yeah, but they do the Falcones and the Salvatores. They do a lot about the crime family. And Kristen Milioti
she's the mother from How I Met Your Mother.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's in the last season, which is horrible. But
I didn't. Yeah, she ended up being.
Oh, well, you're not missing anything. Yeah. But yeah, she ends up being the mother that he ends up with.
She puts on a show. And
I've heard that.
And then his mother, Penguin's mother, I think she won an award for the recent whatever Grammys or whatever just came out.
I know the Penguin got quite a few nominations. I haven't. I need to go back to Golden Globes and the Emmys and see kind of how it's gone. But yeah. I know that the Penguin did get quite a bit of love.
Superb. Very good. Highly recommend. I look forward to once you watch it, we can talk about it again. So there's a new trailer that came out for Daredevil.
Born Again.
And
it looks amazing.
It looks amazing. It looks
so
really
originally
good.
They wanted to do an 18 episode series, but I think they've kind of cut it down to 9, which I think is smart. 18 seems like a lot.
Yeah, it seems like a lot, but I would watch every one of them anyways.
But Kingpin as mayor is going to be really cool. I think I love, I can't think of his name right now, but he's
Charlie
so good.
Cox?
No, the guy who plays Kingpin.
Oh, it's shoot.
Yeah, I've kind of gone blank, but I'm really excited about him coming back. Muse looks really cool. They have a character named White Tiger who I'm not super familiar with. He looks kind of cool. So it looks like this is going to be jam-packed. You know, they bring back
Vincent. It's like Vincent
D'Onofrio. That's
D'Onofrio,
who it is.
yeah.
D'Onofrio, yeah.
John Bernthal is coming back.
John Bernthal is coming. So I've heard that's going to be more of like a cameo. So we'll see how much he's actually going to be in the show. And then they're bringing back some past, people like Karen and Foggy.
Yeah, Karen Foggy.
So that'll be really cool. And then you already mentioned the Punisher. I think Muse looks. Oh, Bullseye. Bullseye is also going to be in it. He's going to be like the main villain. So that'll be really cool. Hopefully not as cringy as Colin Farrell. Speaking of going back to Colin Farrell, Colin Farrell has played some cringy roles. He was in the Ben Affleck Daredevil as Bullseye, and he was like, I never miss. It's weird Irish. Yeah, it was a weird, but I think it looks great. I think it looks dark. So we'll see how dark they go with this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited to watch it. It looks great. If you haven't, because the Daredevil were not a part of the MCU, right? It was
so the other ones were not really.
Yeah,
they were Netflix things. So Marvel had this whole thing where they were selling off characters, and so Netflix ended up with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Punisher, and they made all these series, and then enough time lapsed. I think it's 2 years to where MCU all the rights reverted back to MCU to where they could.
Did you watch that Daredevil series?
Yeah.
With Charlie Cox. Yeah, it's really good. It's very good.
Like the whole, was it Daredevil season 2 where he ends up in jail with the Kingpin, or was that Punisher? I get those mixed up.
I think it was Punisher.
It might be Punisher.
Yeah.
But that whole sequence where they're in jail and he's fighting Kingpin, and that was really cool. But it'll be interesting to see. And Kingpin showed up in the Native American show that came out recently. I can't remember what that one was. Echo. Yeah. He showed up in the Echo series, and I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no. She was pretty awesome. Native American. It's like first, I think, famous. Didn't Choctaw do some?
Yeah, no, our chief was on there, and they did a whole red carpet thing, which I thought was really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that show's really good.
Yeah, for sure.
I did go to the movies today. I want to talk about that for a second. So Wolfman, I went to watch Wolfman. It's okay. So it's very average. They don't really go into a whole lot of the lore of the Wolfman or how he came to be. So, but I will say, if you're really big on the whole body horror thing, they do a pretty good job of the transformation of the Wolfman. But some of the dialogue's a little cringe, and some moments it seems a little dark, and they try to do some cool things, but just keep that in mind. I think it's got like 56% positive on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's kind of 50-50 as far as good. So if you want to go watch it, it's not bad, but it's not really what I expected it to be. And then also today was free popcorn day, and we went to Cinemark, and we're just standing in line, and everybody's bringing just like literal storage containers. You're like, what are you guys doing? And people are filling them up with popcorn. I'm like, I get the free popcorn day.
Come on.
But if you're not even coming in to buy a movie ticket, and you're just coming in to take advantage of this lady had it was like just like a pot, and another person had a storage container, and another person had, and they're like, oh no, I want you to add more in there. And I'm like, dude, this is insane. You should have to buy a movie ticket, not to be able to do that.
So you know what grinds my gears? People driving in the fast lane, in the left lane, going 60 miles an hour when it's 70, 75. Yep. And I travel for work. So I go from Oklahoma to Texas, go up 75. Well, I'm not going to say where I'll go. I don't give my route away. People find me or something, but
Hey, that's Cody from the Bourbon Nerds.
yeah,
F that guy.
I'm gonna chase him down. But yeah, I there's this guy that would not get out of the way, and like there's a semi in the right lane, and it just traffic's being backed up, and it wasn't like I even got behind a guy that there was nobody in the other lane, and he just would not get out of the other lane. And
Dude, I will. If I pass you in the right lane, I'm going to stare you down the whole time I pass you.
I flashed my lights. I turned my because I have like LED lights or whatever on my Jeep. And I was like turned them on. I'm like, come on, dude. Like just pull. Like you want to drive 60 miles an hour, pull over in the right lane and drive your 60 miles an hour. Like, and it happens too often. It really. Well,
the cops are supposed to pull those people over because that's supposed to be a passing lane, and they never do.
They don't. Never. So. You know what? I'm going to drink some Basil Hayden. Oh, actually, I don't own any Basil Hayden right now.
I don't either.
I haven't toasted Basil Hayden. But no, you wanted to talk about one of your favorite bands.
Yeah, I love the band 9 Inch Nails, and they announced that they're going to do a tour this year. So they delayed what the tour dates. I know some have like been spoiled as far as tour dates, but they've kind of held off because of the California fires, which is whole thing in and on itself, and the whole thing's a tragedy, and I don't want to get into California and politics and stuff, but I
would like to say like thoughts and prayers to anyone impacted in the fires in LA.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if you like just while I was gone watching some of the news, like it looked like hell on earth. It's tragic. It's terrible. Luckily, I have some clients in California, but none of them have been impacted. Thank God. So, again, thoughts and prayers to any family, regardless if you're a movie star, losing your house is terrible. So,
yeah. And I know some of the local fire departments, like from Arizona and stuff, have come in and tried to help. And it's really cool that, some of these other places have tried to step up to help them in this situation. And once it gets, under control, hopefully they figure out how to have better water management and stuff. But
yeah, and
we won't go into that because we don't want to talk about politics and stuff on our podcast. But yeah, I think there's definitely some things they can do and put in place to help prevent some of these things.
Yep, agreed. All right, go ahead, continue, sir.
But yeah, so they're going to be touring this year. I'm a big 9 Inch Nails fan. I always love industrial metal, so
that would be a concert.
So it'll be interesting to see if they come anywhere near us. But I know the two dates that they've announced so far are like California and like New York, just the basic spots that aren't Dallas or, Oklahoma.
Yeah. So there's a concert that I want to go to. That's at Choctaw, actually. Zach Top. He's playing on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I've been ticket watching, so I'd love to get tickets and take my fiance to, if you haven't listened. So if you like country, first off, this guy, Never Lies is really popular song, but he's got a lot of other good songs. But highly recommend checking him out. I recommend him to a few other people. If you like 90s country, he's got that sound really good. Like, I don't even know how to compare him to like Keith Whitley. I don't know. He's really good. So
Danielle wants to go watch the Black Keys. I think they're on Memorial Weekend. So it's like we're already taking off for your wedding trip.
What are the dates on Memorial Weekend?
Hang on, I'll look up real quick.
I would love to go watch
they're on
the
that
Black Keys.
Friday, which is the 23rd, I believe.
Yeah, I think it would be gone by then. Maybe I don't have to look at the dates on when exactly.
But yeah, they're going to be at Choctaw the 23rd.
I would love to go watch.
I think Daniel's going to take off. I'm like, I can try to take off. It's really hard for me to get off on Memorial Weekend though, because obviously it's a busy weekend for the casino.
Yeah, so I'm going to retract my previous before we move on, and I forget. So I'm going to select the Texas Select that you brought. I think that's a little bit better. I do say, so one, this is a fresh crack, the bottle that I opened.
That's true. Some of that stringency might not be there.
Yeah, I think it'll open up a little bit if you notice. So again, that's also something very, very important to understand. When you open a bottle, it is going to change. So if you're drinking the neck pour, which is usually the worst part of the bottle. Secondly, once it gets some air, and some oxygen in that, it's going to kind of change flavors slightly, open up a little bit, is what people usually say. So it can get more fruity. I mean, it can evolve as a bourbon. So, don't always discount like, oh, I just tried something and I don't like it. So, you really sometimes need to give it some time to breathe, is what I like to say, and it'll change. So, I like to come back to this and see, but I like the fruity note. I was digging that more, but I think over balance, I started getting that little Sharpie note. But
this 2024 is so good.
Yeah, get out of here. So
it's hard to beat a good like mixture of like 20, 16, 15-year-old bourbons.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move. Do you have anything else for pop culture pour?
No, I think that covers it. I think we're all good.
Pop culture pour. All right.
Pop culture pour.
So we're running through here. So we're going to move over to Neat and Balance. I don't have like 15,000 things. Don't eat hot dogs or anything to talk about today.
Hot dogs will kill you. Don't do it.
1 year off your life.
Dude, I actually was thinking about that and like, so what about Joey Chestnut, who is like a hot dog eating champion? Like,
oh, he's already dead.
He should have been dead 20 years ago.
That guy's a vampire. Yeah,
but that also was like, well, what if we're supposed to live for like 300 years, but a lot of us eat a bunch of hot dogs, and so then we only live to like 80 or 90 years old.
I bet Moses didn't eat. Oh my God, that Four Roses is holy cow, that's so much better.
Took you out of your train of thought.
Yeah, my bad. I took a drink of the Four Roses Limited 2024 release. I traded Garrett, and it is yum.
It's very good.
If you have one and you haven't tried it, you need to open that bottle up. It's everything you would want Four Roses to be.
Yeah. It doesn't have any of the like it has, all the Four Roses stuff you love, and it doesn't have any of the stringencies. It's good stuff.
It's very good. Yes, it's like $220, I think.
I wonder if they ever try to do a weeded
bottle,
like any kind of weeded thing. I don't. They released some newer single barrels that were red. Those are some new things.
Oh yeah, the red. I watched the SLB video. There's just I think they're different. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look.
I think they were trying some new recipes, but yeah. Anyway,
I was half asleep when I was watching that, so trying to.
There's so much stuff.
Yeah, so Neat and Balance. I want to talk about food pairings. Kind of talk about I was in the Caribbean. I had quite a bit of rum, not quite a bit, but I tried some rum. It was some very good rum, to be exact. I mean, it is. I don't want to go into so much detail on that because I want to do a rum episode. I'm also going to post. So I tried. So a good friend of mine, I hung out with him, watched the USC fights and football games. He's a Foursquare connoisseur collector, and he had like a ton of their limited releases, which you cannot buy at the distillery. They were sold out of every single one of them. They are floating around. You can find some at Specs and some liquor stores. I would recommend buying one. I think it's Equipose is the best rum I've ever had in my life. It's aged in ex-bourbon cast. It's outstanding. I
just want to interject for a second. By the time you guys hear this, you guys are going to know, but the Bills have officially made the AFC Championship. So
wow. Congratulations.
Bills, Chiefs, and Commanders, Eagles. So
yeah, Bills Mafia. I'm excited to see the Chiefs Bills rematch.
27-25, so it was a good game.
I still think the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl, but we'll see. So they beat the Broncos, so that was a bad matchup for us.
About that.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the Texans and Broncos play. I think that would have been a good game.
Yeah, but maybe next year.
Yeah. So anyway, wanted to hear from you guys. What is your favorite bourbon or whiskey pairing or tequila or whatever? So I had fish. So I had black and red snapper, and I tried. I was drinking Dorley's 14, which is my favorite limited release from Foursquare. I just think those balance each other really well. I also had during my trip, I had some bourbon glazed ribs that were really good. I think it was Jim Beam that they were glazed in because there's not a lot of bourbon in the Caribbean. I've only seen Jack, and I did find, and I have some videos which we'll release. I need to send you those. I did some just really briefly hunting at a few liquor stores. I found Eagle Rare and some Buffalo Trace, but Eagle Rare was like $100 US, so it's a little pricey. It didn't obviously buy
it down there.
Yeah, it is for sure. But
I went to the Honduras one time, and then I got I think it had like a chicken and rice thing, but they use a lot of coconut milk to make their stuff, and it was really good. Yeah, so I think if you eat that kind of thing with like the coconut milk and then do like a rum, I think that yeah, that would be some.
So do you
fire
have
stuff
something
coming.
like you prefer, like bourbon and steak, or something that you like to eat with bourbon?
Actually, last night I meant to post a picture, but Danielle went to the Brazilian steakhouse. I think she went to Texas Day Brazil, but they have the best pecan pie I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh, I remember you talking about
it. Just
that.
craps on the specs one I had.
Wow.
But that with like a good bourbon, I ended up I think I ended up picking the Maker's Mark cellar aged, or a good wheated bourbon. I think would be really good with it, or like a nutty one like Jim Beam. Actually, I might have picked. I picked the Baker's 7, 8 year, or the Baker's 13 is one of those two. I don't know. I don't remember. I had a lot of bourbon last night. But like, so you mix like a good Baker's or Knob Creek or something with like the pecan pie. It's good stuff.
No, that sounds good. Yeah.
For my dinner for birthday, I got the Bookers. With they had it was a stroganoff.
Yeah,
a pub stroganoff, and then the bread pudding. Yeah, so those are really good.
Yeah, I noticed too when I'm drinking like good bourbon, I usually don't like. I don't really usually drink, like if I'm eating a big steak, I usually don't drink a lot of bourbon. Like I drink it before or after. I've noticed. Like,
yeah,
I prefer like a nice red wine, like a cab. I do love wine as well. Don't sue me. I like wine and rum a lot. So
I do like wine. I don't know what was that place we went to after Randall's? Do you remember what that place was called? But we got food, and I think I got Booker's there too.
Oh, it was Yokel Local.
Yokel Local.
So yeah, I got local Yokel, there. Whatever it is. Yeah,
I think Booker's goes really well with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that was good. Oh yeah, I had the book. So my video on TikTok is getting quite a bit of views. I did a blind, which I can talk about that in last call.
Yeah.
So
and also we went to the Brazilian steakhouse. I went to Texas Day Brazil a while back, and they had Blanton's, and I went ahead and got one of those, and it's fine, but it's actually it tastes pretty good paired with a lot of those meats and stuff.
Yeah. Also, there's a very quaint restaurant that I took my clients to called Distillery House, which is, if you've ever been to Barbados, it's located near like the northeast side of the island near Sam Lord's Castle. But I had a whole fish. They cook it and fried. It was like the most food I've ever seen in my life. And
you have to peel the skin off yourself and stuff, or do they peel the skin off for you?
Well, no, they I think it was already peeled off. They just fried it basically. It was really good though. It was very soft and delicate.
Some fish is fine to eat the skin with everything.
But it was a whole fish, the head and everything. Nice. It was fried. It was really good.
It was so much food. Did you see that picture of Danielle with the lobster in Maine? I'll have to show you that picture, but yeah, it was massive. It was insane. And she just looked at it. And the thing about Maine lobster is it's so rich. Like it's really hard to kind of eat the whole thing.
Dessert, I had sticky toffee pudding when I went to my favorite restaurant in Barbados is QP Bistro, which is on the West Coast. If you ever go to Barbados, I highly recommend it. If you go to Barbados, you need to reach out to me and I will tell you. I lived in Barbados for 2 years. I know that island like the back of my hand, and I love Barbados. It's my second home. I hope to own property one day there. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, really curious to see what you like to pair with your food, and we're gonna do. I'm talking to a few of my friends that are more cigar experts. I have a lot of cigars. I love cigars as well. I don't smoke them very often. There's more of a special occasion thing, but I do enjoy them. So I do want to talk about, what's the best bourbon and cigar pairings, and even maybe some rum, because I drank some really incredible rums. Holy cow, that lobster's huge.
Yeah, luckily the waitress was like, "Hey, I'll help you put," and then I got to eat some of it. Yeah, it's super, super rich. So just be prepared if you ever go to Maine and get the lobster.
Yeah,
it's really rich, but it's very good and worth it.
So apparently rum and fish is really good, because I had a lot of rum and I had a lot of fish. I only eat fish when I'm in the Caribbean. I eat fish like nonstop, basically.
So one of the popular thing is coconut shrimp.
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes sense, like seafood and rum.
Yeah, some fish tacos too as well.
Yeah. So, I love fish tacos.
Yeah, I had some really good mahi fish tacos. I think I might have a picture I can look and see if I can show you. I don't know if I took one or not. I was so excited to get this fish tacos.
Sometimes I get too excited to take pictures.
Yeah,
of things.
I was like,
man, I should document this, but
should have taken a picture. But I did document quite a bit of stuff I haven't even shared with you yet, so we can share some videos and stuff. And if you want for us to discuss some travel stuff. I will be putting some travel stuff on our social media, doing some videos and things. So, but yeah, Neat and Balance is all about having fun. It's about being healthy. It's about, trying great things and living a good life. And that's what the balance portion is. So please share what you love to, whether recipe or what you love to, like, oh, I have a bourbon and I love this, or I have a rum and I love this, or my tequila and I love this. So I really like to hear from our audience.
We have a Bourbon Nerdz Facebook group now, and we have a chat group that you can kind of have a one-on-one chat with me or Cody. So just if you want to just go in and join, and we'll preview it and come in and have a conversation and share with us.
Yeah. I've been quite a bit lately. I've getting a lot of requests for recommendations or what do you think about things. So we'll be sharing a lot of those, and then eventually we'll be sharing a lot of special reviews and stuff and content with our Patreon once we get that up and launched. So more to come on that. So that'll conclude Neat and Balance. Let's go ahead and move over to the last call with the Bourbon Nerds. So today on Last Call, I wanted to talk a little bit about our next couple episodes we have coming up. We've got some exciting things going on.
Yeah, so our next 2 episodes are going to be, we have the Ho Chi Town episode, which will be episode 10. So it'll be our 10th episode. We're also going to release some correlating videos coming up with some side-by-sides and things. So look out for our TikTok and our YouTube. I know
coming down from the Ho Chi Town Saloon, man.
Yeah, Ho Chi Town Saloon. Yeah, we have a saloon set up similar to like a Tombstone style. Like my father-in-law loves Tombstone, and he actually has some. What is that game where you throw bean bags?
Cornhole.
Cornhole.
I am the great cornholio.
His
custom, for my bunghole.
Custom cornhole boards that are Tombstone.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that.
I am cornholio.
Shut up, Beavis.
Shut up.
I've been saving that. I do have some impressions that I'll have to do. I'll have to do a little.
My precious. But yeah, so we'll have some correlating videos. We'll post more on YouTube, and eventually we're going to get a camera set up so we can film our podcast, and so that way we have 2 different avenues for you to choose from, and you can kind of see our ugly mugs while we're talking. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm so ugly. And
then we have Iron Root at the next week after that. So we have a couple of cool things coming out, and hopefully we get some things. I know in March we have the blendery that we're doing with a couple of buddies. If we have anyone, else that wants to join,
Yeah, and so we should start. We need to figure out exactly how it works, because I think you have to pre-sign up or something.
So you have to have at least 4 people, and then you just add on after that.
Let's create it. We'll create a group in our Facebook group.
Theron was talking about, if we, send him money, he would get it set up. But
yeah.
So we have the blendery, and we're hoping we can put the Bourbon Nerdz blend. That would be sick to put on that.
That'd be awesome.
And then the next day after that is Whiskey Festival, which I think is the March 15th.
Yeah, March 15th.
And we're going to go be there and kind of learn more. And hopefully maybe next year we can get a booth or something set up for that.
Yeah, I want to do that for sure.
I think this year's a lot of learning for us, so we're going to learn a lot and kind of be able, so that way we can do some like whiskey festivals or Comic-Cons, because we actually have a Texoma Comic-Con in February that we probably could have got a booth for. They're not very expensive.
Yeah,
we need to get merchandise and things though.
Yeah,
once we get those kind of things, that'll be something for people to be able to purchase while they're coming up and talk to us.
We'd appreciate it. I mean, because again, we're not in this to make money. We're in this to sustain this, create content that's enjoyable, educational, and just fun. So to do that, it's expensive, just to be frank. But
I mean, we're self-funded, and we don't mind doing that at this point. And eventually, everything that is going to get donated or whatever to us is going to go back into the channel, because we want to make this channel the best that it can be. And that's the most important thing for us right now.
Yeah, we want to produce quality content. We're not just trying to do the same old thing. This is different. That's why we wanted to get the podcast up. It was kind of a dream of both of ours. So, and I do want to thank everyone that's reached out. We've had a couple of our listeners reach out. I don't know if I should mention names or not, but thank you for the comments that I've received. Just like, it means a lot. It really does. Like, cause Garrett and I are very, hypercritical of our podcast. We listen back to our podcast. we look and we're like, oh, I made this mistake, I made this mistake, I made that mistake. Again, we just started in November. We're trying to get better every episode, and we still make mistakes. And we're doing a ton of research, and there's so much information, and it's overwhelming at times. And we're trying to review bourbons and do all this stuff. And I think our flow is getting a lot better, and everything that we're trying to do, and we're trying to, inform our audience and all that stuff. And we want you to be Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
So yeah, we appreciate the comments. Really do help. I mean,
I know Jamie commented the other night when I was at his bar, and he said,
"Oh, did you go to that?"
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I forgot. Talk about that for a second.
I went kind of later. I went kind of later. He said there was a good turnout. When I went, it was just basically me, Jamie, and the bartender. His name is Ellie, who I know from a past life. I won't get into that on the podcast. But yeah, and so he said that we needed to release 3 episodes a week.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm not going to drink that much. So
but
we'd have to record all the one
It's
day,
cool that he wants more. That's the thing, is they want more content, and that's what I'm hoping the video and all that kind of stuff will help. So,
yeah,
but we'll get there, and Jamie will be on the podcast in March.
Yep,
that we have coming up, and he can talk about that a little bit more. It's called Eggers Lounge, the whiskey bar, I think.
It's just Eggers Lounge. Yeah. It's a whiskey bar. It's nice. Yeah. It's small, but it's nice. I mean, he's got a decent selection too. Yeah, and our good friend Tony Roma's. I mean, he's got a pretty good whiskey collection. Italian restaurant in Durant, off of Main Street, right at the end, across the street.
He has like a Eagle Rare double Eagle double rare.
He does. He has a lot of bottles. So we're looking to do some videos in his office. So really excited about that. But yeah, so I just traveled back from the Caribbean. That was a lot of fun. Highly recommend. I mean, Barbados and St. Lucia are so different, but they're both beautiful, absolutely breathtaking countries. Barbados is a little easier to get around. There's, you have an hour and a half trip from the airport in St. Lucia, but I went and had lunch at Sugar Beach. I'll have to show you. We'll post a video, I think, on our social media. But it was one of the most amazing views I've ever seen in my life. And I do a lot of traveling. So, again, not trying to brag or anything like that. Just sharing my experience with you. I had lunch there. What did I end up getting to eat? Oh, I had mahi cooked in a banana leaf.
Wow.
It was outstanding. And they had called them crazy fries or something. I don't know. They were like loaded fries. It were so good. But
it's just the spoils of, being able to, you work hard, play hard kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I work my tail off when I'm traveling with clients and stuff. I mean, I'm 5:30 in the morning till 11, 12 at night. I mean, it's nonstop.
Can we talk about your promotion a little bit? Or
yeah. Yeah, sure. So I've officially been promoted to Vice President of Client
Congratulations.
Services.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Congrats. So that was awesome. My boss actually told me that in person when we were in St. Lucia. It was really, I've worked really hard to get that. I'm excited. It
makes those trips a lot better.
Yeah. I've worked really hard. If, everyone, some people reach out to me like, man, I want your job. And, what do you do and all that stuff. And, I love my job. I love the company I work for. I mean, we've got some amazing people. We're doing some amazing things, helping clients grow in, 6 different countries that we operate in. But, it's every time I leave, it's a sacrifice. Like, it's time away from my family, and I put in a lot, especially, prior to December. I was on the road, a couple weeks out of the month. I mean, there was for a while, I was like gone. I mean, in our little group, we were like, man, you're always gone. Yeah. And I'm like, so, it does come into the cost, but again, I love my family more than anything in the world. And, I've worked really hard I have some amazing clients. Like, I'm so blessed with some of the people that I work with, in our company, and then some of the clients I get to support, and, it's super motivating. But yeah, I got promoted, which is really awesome. Really excited. This year started out kind of rough for me, and it's turning around really quickly. And Garrett and I are working our tails off to continue to make more content for you guys, to grow, get merchandise, get social media stuff running up. And we're fully motivated and excited, and we'll continue to get better. We'll continue to make better content, and we'll continue to entertain you. So
yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for the comments. And looking forward to a very exciting 2025 for the Bourbon Nerds community.
Yeah, next time we'll see you is at the Ho Chi Minh Distillery. So we look forward to that. So we'll see you on the next episode. Yeah, and just if you haven't had a chance to go to Broken Bow, it's one of the most beautiful places in Oklahoma. I highly recommend it. So absolutely. Yeah, and stay tuned. If you haven't joined one of our social media, join. So we are on YouTube as well. So, all right, I'm Cody. I'm Garrett. And we are the Bourbon Nerds. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.